Something you've never seen before. You've seen other people do it. You haven't seen this before. Now that I'm 42, I need glasses. It's called Nazi Dog. Okay? But even I can't pretend it was something like love I always got. Who, me? You pays your money, you takes your chances, me? Surely even the baby sweetly and innocent Nazi dog knew more about love through a chain-link fence of hate than was always admitted to. But then, at 18 years old, that's when I started, and a few years longer, bleeding from self-inflicted wounds on the stage, a change did take place. I cried out over and over in the throes of the fever dance, stranded in the shameless defilement of abuse. I pledged myself to the Red Angels. I said, oh, in the name of this spectacle, please take me, because I've only fallen on this licorice debauch because of a dejected little broken up heart. And yes, it is only a weak-winded hopefulness that calls out, and the night shall be mine. In the dawn, I'll cry out, wailing for solace, just for a reprieve, an acquittal. You must see I'm not so guilty. Do you see it? Then pardon me. Recommend me to mercy. Take my hand. I must be freed of these tangles. So I'm let loose and freed on my own, but I'm heartless. And in my crystal clear memories, I breathe out hard. I really let it out. And in my best faked Marlon Brando, grandiosity, yeah, well, I wipe the drops of sweat from my truth-saying, tortured mouth with the back of my hand that still shows where a nail was driven into it, proving just how martyred and saintly I've become, not to mention very, very drunk. A sad and forever, yet lost, glorious reminder of my days as a black, misunderstood archangel of nothingness. And my lessons are so many to tell of my seasons in hell. Now, is it truth that anti-hero fame, journey, learning is not a now and forever thing, and you don't break a butterfly on a wheel? But it all had monumental importance then, and sometimes even greatness to its urgency. And of course I know it had greatness because I read all the reviews. A lot of press. Every damn one I could get my little hurt hands on. And some of the reviews were even framed in glass by old girlfriends, adding fuel to my fire. And everything we read or hear through the media must be true, right? Well, just calm down, because you're not as smart as you think you are. I'm talking about my days as a singer of great ballads of the most sordid type. But please know that the reviews were always glorious. Accidents make for glorious news. Young man bleeding in public, shirtless, tight-muscled, under sun-bright, stark white light. Baby, just killing myself. Charting my course on a drunken ship with heroes of another time as shipmates, crossing into dream life as real life. Rock and roll can do that. And then something spoke. It was like a keel, hammered and forged together from the jawbones of 666 murderers and orphans. The hull is carefully and divinely built as an ark in hell itself. My colors, the red and the black, cutting across the waters and deep pools of tears at a funeral pace. But whose tears, and who cares on this slaver? Nailing up on dark wooden walls the reviews of another performance that was executed with virtuosity, a blood-drenched rhapsody, in perfect harmony with madmen in a play. Yeah, and I fully believe that stuff, because the other side tempted so sweet. Yeah, I believed while drunk in the back of the band's van, dodging falling guitars at every bump in the road, swinging down the highway to get to the next town. My boyhood ambitions of adventureness came true there, and my fantasy, for it never really was just a van. It was a pirate ship, and Somehow I was Arthur Rimbaud's slam dream revisited. Towns weren't towns, but conquerable ancient villages that had to be pillaged. The women raped, the black and red flags hoisted, and the drinks drank. All reviews were holy notices of my chimera existence, traveling far and forever to get to my next greasy pigsty of a dressing room. There isn't even one fucking down here, where the mirror would tell me I was beau ideal, not to mention the booze. I know what riddle that would tell me, but who's complaining? It was tainted and decrepit enough to suit me just fine. Besides, what was I to have to call a dressing room? My only shortcoming then was that I didn't piss on those walls more often. It was all over in rock and roll. There was nowhere to look without being taken by shabby money grubbers. Everywhere, lick pennies. Club owners, managers, agents, soundmen, doormen, accountants, lawyers, record reps, producers, engineers, printers, distributors, et al. It keeps going. They all want your money. And the only thing anyone answers to is their own vice. And goddamn you to the bitter, sweet strains of the old serpent's flute. You can't take it. And like my early childhood memories of a baby in fire, I played the game till I was sore, and then begged for more. But Nazi dog? Well, I so cherished the look on their faces when it did become quite clear to them I was from the other side of their madness, and their reeking horror at realizing it would be me in my life for what was to become a very long time. So I smacked my hands together and rubbed them like a fly. Let's play. What an illustrious atmosphere to work in, to create in, show my art to the world in. In that world, it's the game of wits that I love. It's who plays in the fire with potent virtue and the most benediction wins. My youth, and with the help of my two bizarre inflated stooges, I won many victories. But each blended with my debauch and downfall, some fools I encountered played the flute nearly as sweetly as their master, who barked and grunted encouragement louder to their ears than to mine. But not often enough to completely pull the rug from under me. And then if I did fall, I'd still be at the peak of so many underlings' vices I'd laugh and count. If I was down, you would have to look up, and then only to meet my spit. But it changed. The music just became my form, my twisted circus of no importance in itself. It was a backdrop. It was at all times I thrived in this abuse, hardly enshrining any traditional but abstract respect for the stage. There was never any reservation in personality. There was but one face, and I wore it fiercely and without thought or care of offense. Why? Because I had become free, but also condemned to both loathe and worship the baseness of my ground. And if in the mud I'd crawl up and dry myself in the breath of the foul flutous air, tricked into thinking I had been fortified, then later inspired, all for a profane, pious fraud, then so be it. Oh, the moral turpitude of the justifications, always with the constant dilemma of the question of consciousness. What poetic quest is this? The very name I took on, which is Nazi Dog, summoned the attention of purity, but it also summoned the other side. And then I'd hear the other ones call out, "Oh, spare me your defilement," and tease to say, "I lick the cinders from the ovens of another time for your amusement only, dear sir. Are you not pleased?" From that I'd get the inspiration. I needed it again. A resounding hymn from hell, heard to the stratosphere, to drown out too many times, and never to know I loved my slavery. Washed out and spared a beating from thugs who didn't get the joke, then froze and laughed when I asked, who will brave this darkest night alone? I was literally slamming and taunting buffoons. Give me a 3rd Street, H.A., going from coast to coast and bar to bar, all for the poetic inspirations of bravery, somehow knowing if I played with them, safety would still be mine, but a broken heart would be the price, and the wonder is, I never felt the break.